Hi friends, today we're going to talk about kites. Our learning target, I can use properties of kites to find side lengths, diagonal lengths, and angle measures. And our standard, use properties of kites to define them, classify them, solve problems, and logically justify results. Our definition of a kite, a quadrilateral with two pairs of adjacent congruent sides. So if they're congruent, that means that their measures are equal. So if we look here, I added some letters onto mine, so you may want to add the A, B, C, D, and E onto yours. So some properties, as we said, two pairs of adjacent congruent sides. It might make more sense if you said two pairs of touching equal sides. That might make more sense to you, or you can say adjacent and congruent there. So here, I know CD is congruent to CB, and I know AD is congruent to AB. I know that by looking at my picture because they have the same amount of tick marks. So like here, they each have one tick mark. That means that they're equal. Here, they each have two tick marks, so that means that those two are the same thing. Diagonals are perpendicular. Remember, perpendicular means that they meet at a 90-degree angle. So in here, each of these angles is 90 degrees. And one diagonal bisects the other diagonal. So I know here that DE and BE are congruent. And I also know that AC is perpendicular to BD. Finally, one pair of opposite angles are congruent. So in this case, angle B is congruent to angle D. C and A are not congruent, but B and D are. So the vertex angles are not congruent. The non-vertex angles are congruent. So let's look at some examples with sides. I know that these two sides are equal because they both have two tick marks. So if ST is 7, that means SV is also 7. Here again, I know that these two are congruent because they both have two tick marks. So if RQ is 12, then TQ is also 12. Here we have a pair of congruent sides. So I know that 2x plus 4 equals 18. And if I solve this, I'll take 4 from both sides. So 2x is 14. And dividing by 2, we would get x equals 7. Here's another side of a kite. Again, I know that those two are equal. LK and KN are equal because they both have two tick marks. So I know LK equals KN. So I know x plus 3 equals 2x minus 4. Solving for x here, we'll take x from both sides. So then I have 3 equals 2x, take away 4. Not 2x, x. 2x minus 1x is x. Adding 4 to both sides, I would get that x is 7. All right, let's look at some diagonal lengths here and do some problems. They're telling me that WR is 22. So that's this part right here is 22. Well, that means UR is also 22. They want us to find the length of the whole diagonal. So they want us to find this whole thing. To do that, we would just do 22 plus 22 is 44. If I were you, I would always write down the things that we know are equal right away. So like here, they're telling me that ME is 20. Well, I know then also that EK is 20. I'm gonna write that right on my picture. MK then is this whole diagonal, which is 20 plus 20, and that gives us 40. All right, this one, they're telling me MY is negative 2 plus 8x. And they're telling me that the whole thing is 13x plus 5. They're not telling me anything about YK, but I know if MY is negative 2 plus 8x, then KY is also negative 2 plus 8x. So I can say negative 2 plus 8x plus negative 2 plus 8x equals that whole thing, which is 13x plus 5. So again, negative 2 plus 8x, negative 2 plus 8x equals the whole thing, which they're telling me is 13x plus 5. So now solving this one, this is just supposed to say negative 2. Negative 2 plus negative 2 is negative 4. 8x plus 8x is 16x. So negative 4 plus 16x is 3x plus 5. Let's get all my x's on the same side. So I'm going to take 13x from both sides. Negative 4 plus 3x is 5. Add 4 to both sides. 3x is 9. And dividing by 3, we get x is 3. But they're not asking me for x. They're asking me to find my. So now I'm going to take this equation, and I know x is 3. So negative 2 plus 8 times 3 gives me 22. So my is 22 when x is 3. So get another one. TB is 9, which means BV is 9. They're also telling me that BV equals negative 1 plus x. So I can say 9 equals negative 1 plus x. Adding 1 to both sides, I would get that x is 10. That one's a little bit easier. All right, let's look at angles of a kite. So again, we know that the non-vertex angles are congruent, which means W and U are both congruent, or are the same measure. They're asking me to find U here. I'm going to make that an X. We're going to call W X as well because they're the same thing. Now this is a four-sided figure. This is a quadrilateral, which means all the angles together is 360 degrees. So if I add all these up, 74 plus X plus 96 plus X, it's going to give me 360. Combining like terms here, 74 and 96 give me 170. X and X is 2X equals 360. Take 170 from both sides, and we get 2X is 190, which means if we divide both sides by 2, X is 95 degrees. This next one here, same type of problem. F is what we're looking for, so I'm going to call that X degrees. F and H are the same thing, so they're both going to be called X degrees. Again, we have a quadrilateral, which means that it's adding up to 360. So 70 plus x plus 66 plus x is 360. 70 plus 66 is 136. X and x is 2x equals 360. Take away 136 from both sides, and I'll get that 2x is 224. And then dividing both sides by 2, we would get that x is 112 degrees. All right, let's look at this one. This one's a little bit more difficult. I know that v and x are the same, so if angle x is 8x minus 5, angle v is 8x minus 5. So adding all those up, again, we get 360. 8x minus 5 plus 115 plus 8x minus 5 plus 95 is 360. Combining like terms here, 8x and 8x is 16x. Negative 5 plus 115 minus 5 plus 95 gives me 200. So 16x plus 200 is 360. And then solving this, we'll take 200 from both sides. And we get 16x is 160. Divided by 16, we'll get x is 10 degrees. Let's look at another angles here. This one is actually a little bit easier because here W and Y are my congruent angles, so I can just set those equal to each other. I know angle W is congruent to angle Y, so I can say 7x minus 4 equals 5x plus 20. So solving this, we'll take 5x from both sides. 2x take away 4 equals 20. Add 4 to both sides. 2x equals 24. And then finally dividing by 2, we'll get x equals 12. Ooh, but they want us to find the measure of angle Z. All right, it's going to take a little bit more work. We can plug 5 in here. So, I'm sorry, plug 12 in there. 7 times 12. Take away 4. Gives me 80. So I know this is 80 degrees and this is 80 degrees. And again, the whole thing needs to add up to 360. So I know 80 plus Z plus 80 plus 105 is 360. If I combine 80 and 105, I get 265. Plus Z is 360. And then taking 265 from both sides, I'll get angle Z is 95 degrees. That one took a lot of work. All right, lastly, let's look at the angles that the diagonals create. So the interesting thing here, the non-vertex angles are congruent, D and F, and the vertex angles, when the diagonal goes through it, actually splits it into 2 equal parts. So if this part is 34 degrees, that means this part is also 34 degrees. Same thing here. If that part is 58 degrees, then this part is also 58 degrees. So here we know those two are equal. So 50 equals 8x plus 2. Subtracting 2 from both sides. 48 equals 8x. And then dividing both sides by 8, I would get that x is 6 degrees. One more diagonal one here. I know those two are equal, so I can say 45x equals 46x, take away 1. I need to get all my x's on the same side, so I'm going to subtract 46x from both sides. This gives me negative 1x equals negative 1. Dividing both sides by negative 1, I will get x equals 1. They want me to find angle SRT. SRT would be this angle right here. So I'm going to say 46 times x, which is 1, take away 1, and that gives me 45 degrees. All right, so a lot of stuff with kites. Make sure you have all the properties written down and you understand all of them. Bye, friends.